welcome to the post Super Bowl
Yeah.
episode of Concession Tapes. We just spent about
But we're
10
closer.
minutes. How much? Well, we almost 10 minutes. Yeah,
almost 10
nine minutes. Talking about football and hoping that the Chiefs win. But
Or
yeah,
that they
let's
did.
see what
We're
happens.
just gonna go on a limb and say the Chiefs win.
Yes. Woo, go
Woo!
Chiefs!
It is post Super Bowl, but we're closer to the the following episode than we are to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but like this,
release
the
time.
episode releases on Friday. The Super Bowl is on Sunday, and then next Friday is when this one releases.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is post Super Bowl, but we're closer to the next.
Oh
episode.
yeah, we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Barbarian.
Barbarian.
Mm.
What that movie, huh?
I wasn't ready for that movie, man. I watched it, and then I watched it like maybe half of the movie, and then I kind of had to go do something, so I paused it. But I paused it like after the midpoint, so you know how the movie goes. It's like the first story, and then there's a second story, and then there's like a third act kind of a thing. Okay, so like the second.
Well, actually,
story,
there's a prequel at the middle too.
Oh yeah. But I feel still that's part of the third act,
Okay.
just because like it's wrapping up kind of. Anyways, but yeah, so like I had already seen that first portion of it, and when I came back, I had to come back to it obviously, and I was not ready. Like I didn't want to come back to it. I was like, I don't want to.
Wait, where did you stop? You said you stopped at the midpoint. What had just happened?
Oh, so he had just AJ.
Okay,
Had
Justin
just
Long's
gotten-
character.
Yes, he had just got into the Airbnb, like his property.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, he's calling that girl, the girl that he has.
Oh, after he was drunk.
Yes, after that he gets back,
Okay.
and then he calls the girl, whatever her name was, but yeah,
Megan.
so Megan. Oh, you know what? I thought it was Megan. I didn't say it because I thought I was like maybe I'm crazy.
It was Megan.
It was Megan. But yes, he calls Megan, and then that's when I stopped watching it. Well, I can't. I didn't stop.
Okay.
But yeah,
So
I mean, it
you
was
were
only like an hour.
He wasn't trapped down there yet.
No, he was not there yet. It was what a. I don't even know how to start with this fucking.
Okay, let's just start with what the movie's about.
Okay, please.
So the movie.
This is your movie.
This is my movie. Yes. And I don't know why you put it on the list. If I'm gonna be quite honest,
I don't really know either.
but I'm glad that I did because I just wanted to disturb you a little bit. And so this movie came out last year, and it is about this woman that goes to an Airbnb. She finds that it's occupied by somebody else. They turned out that they got double booked at the same time, right? They
Okay.
got double booked. One
Before we
Airbnb, one
continue-
in HomeAway. I don't even know what that is.
Before we continue, I want to say her first mistake. This is what I'm gonna tell you before the podcast. I was like, I'll just wait. First mistake: you don't go to any house that my boy Bill Skarsgård is in.
Yeah,
My boy, he looks off.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, in this movie, I think he fit the character pretty well of a jazz musician. Like I could
Oh, he
see
did,
him
yeah.
repping a fucking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
just ripping that
I
saxophone.
I could definitely see him doing that. So I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
it played pretty well.
I think so too.
But yes,
still.
whenever so it starts off right there, right? Like she's right outside the house. It's raining, and then she gets out of the car. She tries to go into the house.
Yeah.
There's no key in the lockbox, and so then, yeah, Bill Skarsgård, whose name is Keith in the movie,
Yeah.
comes out and says, "I'm staying at this place. I booked it at HomeAway." She says she booked it at an Airbnb, and they're like, "All right, come in so we can figure it out."
Yeah.
And then I think this movie did so well, letting you buy into the theory that that Bill Skarsgård is a bad guy.
I think so too, but in a way, I always thought that he wasn't.
Yes,
way.
because
I don't
he's
know
like it's too obvious, right? It's like a little too obvious that he'll be the bad guy.
Yeah.
But like he's Pennywise from It, right? He's the clown from
Yeah.
It. And so you're used to him being just this fucking creepy dude.
Hi.
And yeah, and they do that. They're just like little nuances. I think that they do that with where like like she was like, "Can I see your reservation?" And he goes like, "Oh yeah, I don't know where my phone is." And like little things like that, where it's just
Yeah.
like they're really like he's about to do something, right?
No, yeah.
And so like they just do that, and then like the tea, like, "Do you want tea? I'll just make you some tea anyway." All this other stuff, and then like finally you realize that like he's just a normal guy, and they have a lot in common, and like
Mhm.
he's funny, and like he like does a duvet
He's such
thing.
a charismatic dude too.
Yeah, he's so charismatic
Yeah,
and
and
awkward at the same time.
that's what I was gonna say. Like this character, he definitely played that up so well,
Uh-huh.
especially like when they were at the table and like he's
Yeah.
talking about the wine.
Mhm.
And then oh, that's another thing that it did so well with like I think the movie and the writing did so well with like putting things out there that like guys have to worry about now.
Uh-huh.
And
Coming off
women do
as
too. Women
yeah.
obviously have been having to worry about these things, but it just like going back to it, like I guess the moments where he was like, "I made you tea," like, but I can make you another one now.
You
Like
can
it's
look and watch me.
so you can watch me.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's like, so I wanted there that it's kind of a cool little scene that they had where she comes out the shower and it's like, oh, I have wine. It's like I was gonna have some, but I was gonna offer you some if you wanted some as well, but I decided to wait for you to get out because, well, I didn't want you to think that I put something in there.
Yeah.
It's like, so I'm gonna have a glass of wine, but you can watch me open it. So if
Yeah.
you want some as well, you can have some. And she's at the end of it, she's like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And it's
And
just
he was
like,
even like, "I'm rambling." Like he's like, "I'm
yeah,
just rambling right now."
I'm rambling, all right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He is kind of, and I think the best way to put it, he's kind of like in a girl sense of what a girl would say. He's kind of cute in that sense. He's
Mhm.
kind of like, oh, he's kind of sweet, and
Mhm.
he's kind of, so I mean, he's very thoughtful. But I mean, obviously, with the way they filmed the movie,
Yeah.
it's just like there is
Yeah.
something off about him.
Yeah. And the reason for that is actually explained. Like the reason that women should be have like a guard their guard up and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
is
yeah,
also explained in the movie. Cause then he's just like saying he's like yeah, like I need like he wants to make her feel comfortable because they're in
hmm
a very weird situation, right? And he wants
yeah,
her to feel as comfortable as possible. And like they finally open up and all that kind of stuff. And then they start talking about how like crazy she was for coming in to a house with him in it. But if the roles were reversed,
yeah.
she would have never let him in the house.
That's okay. So that's one thing I was gonna say about that. I was like, well, yes, if the roles were reversed, she would have never let him in.
Mhm.
But also, she shouldn't have gone in.
No, that's what he said. Well, like, you're the Christian one. You came in.
Yeah.
And then she was like, "Well, I had to." And I was like, "Okay,
Like,
you
no,
didn't
no, you
have
didn't.
to.
I mean, one
You could
thing,
have got
okay,
your ass in the car and fucking
yeah,
driven around somewhere."
that's another thing. Like, I think it did say she was in Detroit, which we all know Detroit's
It's rough, yeah,
it's a rough fucking spot
yeah.
right now. But we don't exactly know what spot in Detroit she's from.
Brightmore.
Yes, we know that
I know,
after,
well, yeah,
but when she gets there, we don't know.
yeah.
And so it's cool because she gets there at night, and
I
so this
love that.
that was a cool
Everything's so
moment.
dark, yeah.
Everything's so dark, and it just looks like a normal neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it
There's
looks
a
kind of.
light, you can see the shadow, the like light glimmer from a car next door,
hmm
all that kind of
It
normal
looks
neighborhood.
off a little bit,
Yeah, because all
but
the
it looks
lights are
pretty
off.
normal. It just looks like a rough neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
And
Doesn't even
then
look like a rough neighborhood. Because the house is like dainty and like normal,
yeah, I
right?
mean, but it
And
does
and like
kind of
you
ghetto-ish, kind of. You know what I mean?
how do you get the ghetto from that, from the dark scene?
Well, just because it was kind of untidy. That's what I mean by it.
Oh, I didn't even see the
Like
untidiness of
I
it.
could tell the untidiness and like the
Oh, I
lawns
couldn't.
with like that's what I mean by it.
The
So like
only
you could tell it wasn't like a pristine like
no, yeah.
Highland Park, but it kind of like a neighborhood that like you and I are from. Where it's like,
I
oh yeah, it's not a bad neighborhood, but it's not necessarily the best.
I don't think so. I think the only thing that was off about the neighborhood is that all the houses' lights were off. That was the only thing. The only thing that was on was that house's light, the one that she was staying at, and the street light were the only
Yeah.
lights in the entire
Well,
neighborhood.
that's kind of where I saw like the untidiness of like the of like like there was a fence there, I believe, and like the lawn.
Okay,
It
I
was
guess I
like
just didn't pay too
that's
much
what I mean.
attention
Yeah, I
to
mean
it.
it makes sense, but to me that's what it felt like. It
Yeah.
wasn't like this huge. It didn't feel to me like it was a crazy like scary place.
Uh-huh.
No, but it did feel to me like a neighborhood like you and I are from.
Okay.
Like it was. It's not the best neighborhood. It's not a safe neighborhood, but it's not an
Uh-huh.
unsafe neighborhood where you're like, oh
Yeah.
my god. But it's again, it's no Highland Park.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by the ghetto-ness of it.
Mm.
But either way, so that was cool because later in the movie,
It's
like
daytime.
it's daytime. Like I don't know, like maybe 20 minutes in, 25 minutes in,
Yeah.
right when they have that whole conversation, and it's daytime, and she walks out, and you could just see the entire neighborhood, and she's like, she shouldn't be there.
No,
She
it's
shouldn't.
abandoned. There's graffiti everywhere.
Yeah,
Their cars are like all crashed and
yeah.
beat up, and like there's nobody living there
There's
at all.
nobody living there. Like it's not just a rough spot where like
Yeah.
drugs and alcohol and I don't know why I said alcohol, but drugs are like being like slung like everywhere
Uh
and like
huh.
sold. No, this is like a neighborhood like people come in to just fuck up the houses because nobody has lived there
Yeah.
for fucking years except that one house that's
Yeah.
Airbnb.
Yeah. And it's not occupied by anybody because it's owned by AJ. Is so like AJ doesn't even live there, so he
No, yeah,
doesn't
he
even
doesn't
know.
live there. It's just the only people that occupy it is when he Airbnbs it
Yeah.
out, which
Yeah.
it takes weeks.
But you know what I did like about that conversation? I really liked when they were discussing how crazy she was for coming in and all that kind of stuff. And then she was like, why are girls the only ones that like get ripped apart or whatever? That like that why are girls the ones that are like getting their heart ripped out? And she meant that like in a like in an emotional way.
Yeah,
And then he just said, "Oh, trust me, girls can rip too." And I
I
was
guess
like,
so.
"Oh, I felt that for some reason."
Yeah, I was like, ooh, they sure can. I was like, they sure can.
And
I don't know.
so I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, no.
And so then his character was very likable, right? And like you kind of like you don't feel bad uh for like kind of like thinking of him as a weird guy because I think it was very intentional. Even when she comes out of the shower with that wine scene and he's just like waiting there for her
Yeah, he is kind of. I mean, he's a
in the
look,
table.
bro. There's a reason they cast him as it.
Yeah, I
Pennywise
think
is a
so.
weird looking fucking dude.
Yeah,
Um,
it's in the eyes.
there's a. Have you ever seen that
Yeah,
video when they're just like, I asked. It was Bill. What's the name of that guy?
I don't know what you're talking
Like the one that plays. He's in that movie as well. The big forehead guy. He's kind of creepy. He's a comedian.
about. Forehead guy.
Yeah, yeah. He's an actor. He's in the movie. He's in the second one, in the It movie.
Oh, oh, you're talking about uh
His name's Bill, right? He's in a show called
Hater,
Barry.
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader.
Yeah.
I kept thinking Bill Maher, and I knew it wasn't Bill
No,
Maher, but I was like, it's something like.
also big forehead.
Oh, I guess he does, but not as
Well,
big
it's
as.
actually more receding hairline than forehead, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but Bill Hader. Bill Hader, man. What was I gonna say about him? Oh, there's an interview where he talks about it, and it's like he asked that Bill. I keep forgetting his name. Bill Skarsgård. Which, by the way, talented ass family.
Hmm.
Talented ass family. I'll get to that in a second. But he's like, how did they do that? Like, did they CGI you? And he's like, what do you mean? This? And he just goes, boom. Like, apparently he could do that with his
Yeah,
eyes, just like on his own. I'm just like,
yeah,
that's fucking weird.
yeah,
But no, back to I was gonna say about the Skarsgård family. They're all fucking actors, right?
yeah. Peter Skarsgård.
That's the dad, right?
I don't know.
Well, I know. Okay, so he has three brothers or two brothers. There's three sons. Then there's a dad. And the dad he's been in all these fucking movies. He's also in Thor. I guess that's like recently where people would kind of know him from. He's like one of the scientists in Thor. And then there's which is Bill Skarsgård. And then there's his other brother, the one that plays Tarzan in the newer films. You know what I'm talking about?
No. But
Let me.
Peter Skarsgård, isn't he the one that like does all the CGI characters? Didn't he do like something in Lord of the Rings? My precious.
Oh, maybe you're tripping then. Maybe that's not Peter Skarsgård.
Who was that?
No, no. Like I mean, sorry. Like I mean, maybe he's not related. Does that make sense?
Oh, my bad. That's Andy Serkis. I'm stupid.
Okay. All
That's not
right.
even a little bit.
Okay. So it's okay. So he has eight. This dude has 8 children, four of which are actors. So there's Alexander Skarsgård, which is the guy that plays Tarzan. There's Bill Skarsgård. I think he's the youngest one of the ones. There's Gustav Skarsgård. Um, yeah, yeah. And then I think the other one is Peter Skarsgård.
Yeah, I'm not looking at the right people at all. I'm looking at Peter Sarsgaard,
Oh,
who's married to Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Oh, sorry. Okay, that's the other one. Peter Sarsgaard is not Skarsgård. Okay, so then he's not a son. Sorry. Okay, obviously we're off. Um, either way, either way, they're all fucking famous. Like, I think there is a younger one. That one I actually don't know who he is.
I don't know. Either way, bro, he's not in the movie for long
Yeah,
because whenever she gets back from an interview,
yeah.
she can't find. Well, Keith is not there, right? Oh well,
Keith.
actually, so they have a good time, whatever, and then she goes to sleep, and you think that there's something romantic gonna happen between the two, and then she closes her door, she goes to sleep,
Yeah.
and then she hears a screeching.
She closes the door, and for okay, sorry. Before you continue that, I just want to put out there that the movie did pretty good on that too because she locks all doors. Every time she
Yes,
walks in a door, she locks it. Bathroom, the room, wherever she goes, she locks the door. And
even when she's not supposed to.
even when she's not supposed to, I guess yes.
The
And
attic door is what I'm talking about. She kept fucking locking the door.
oh
Make sure it
yeah.
stays open. Put a sock on it. Do something.
There's nothing. What the fuck? Take the door off. Take it off.
Yes.
Oh no, no, yes, but sorry, back to that whole thing. Yes, and like the movie shows you very clearly she
Uh-huh.
locks the doors. Like there's a specific shot that's always towards that. And she builds all this confidence with him. They have those whole nice little scenes, like trust me, girls can rip too. They go into the room, they have another you know.
With a duvet. That was a good scene too. Wherever he's like putting in the duvet and he's like
Oh
has
yes,
it
yes.
over him and like, okay, just give
Yeah.
it to me. And
Well,
he's
that's where
like,
she gained
yeah.
all the confidence. Like it's
Yeah.
like, and she's like, "Are you always that tired too?" You
Yeah.
know. So it was the sweet. There were sweet moments.
Uh-huh.
And then right when he leaves to go to bed, she closes the door and she thinks about it and she does not lock the door. And that's all I wanted to
Yeah.
say.
And then she goes to sleep.
But yeah, I just wanted the reason I said it just because I wanted people to know like how
She
well
opened up. Yeah.
yeah, how well they build that relationship for
Uh-huh.
her to feel safe.
Yeah.
Because it's key because then it goes on with your story where the door is open and then you're like,
Yeah.
"Ah, fuck, she shouldn't have trusted him."
Uh-huh. And then you can hear him moaning and like
Yeah.
having like really like bad like he's having a nightmare or something.
Yeah.
And then she goes to go wake him up, and then you see the door behind her close.
Oh, when she's walking, yeah, when she's walking
Yeah.
out of the room, there's a door
I
that's
love.
open.
I think I don't know if if it's an actual house or probably a set, right? But I thought that that was really well done. How there's one scene in particular where with Justin Long's character, but like how the kitchen is so bright and so like yellow and like poppy or whatever, and then you have right next to it a dark ass hallway with a door that's like always visible, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, whenever she's walking towards him to wake him up, you can see the door behind her close. And then she goes to wake him up. She's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Because he just woke him up in the middle of
Yeah.
like, you know,
And at that
him having
moment,
a
the illusion
nightmare.
disappears
Yeah,
of like, it's not him.
yeah, yeah. And so she apologizes or whatever, and then she goes back to sleep. And then I think she locks the door, right?
I think she does lock the
She yeah,
door
she
after
goes
that.
back into her room. She locks the door. She goes back to sleep, and then she wakes up. Which, by the way, I love that shot where like it's like her like close up, and then it goes like up. It was like kind of felt like a robotic arm, where like she's like there, and then she just like goes up, and then it just cuts to the next day, and it's like it's the camera's still in the same position, but she's just like sprawled out in the bed or whatever,
Hmm.
and then she
I
realizes
don't know if I caught that.
that her that she's like running late or whatever, and so then
Hmm.
she gets ready and she goes to the interview. Keith is not there anymore,
Yeah.
right? He leaves a note saying that he had a great time. So it's like, okay, didn't scare him off yet, right?
Yeah.
And so he goes to her interview. She goes to her interview, and then she comes back, and then
Which, by the
uh,
way, the director of the interview that she was having, sorry, she was having an interview with a director.
yeah,
Um, and she's like, "Where are you staying?" And she was saying, "Where?"
Brightmore.
Brightmore. And then she's like,
She's like, "Are you kidding me?"
I was like, "Yeah." It's like, she's like, "You shouldn't even go back there." At one
No,
point, I was like, "I think she's gonna like make her stay at her house," but she
that's what I
obviously
would have done.
she obviously didn't have a good heart because she was like,
No.
"Okay, well, fine.
All right. Well, good luck.
I'll call you tomorrow."
And if you were a real candidate, But
Yeah. If you were a real candidate, that's so true.
I
That's so
know.
funny.
And so then finally she gets home, and then what triggers it? Why does she start exploring?
Why did she start exploring?
Did she hear
Oh,
a thud?
she needed to go pee, and she went to pee, and she needed toilet paper.
Yes.
Yeah, and so she goes down because the toilet paper is in the basement.
Uh-huh.
That's how she goes down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then
Kind of, not gonna lie, not the most creative way to go
no,
down the
it's not. I
basement.
wish
It's
there was a better
definitely
way
like
for them to
you could tell the writer was saying this like, "What? How can I get her down there?
Yeah,
Hey, you know
yeah.
what? Like, out of her house, send her to the restroom."
Uh-huh.
So it was definitely not. Yeah,
And then so she goes into the basement and she discovers this room, right? There's
yeah.
this string,
Well, there's a string
there's a
attached.
rope behind like some
Yeah,
kind of decor or
it's
whatever.
a hole in the wall, and then
Uh-huh.
there's a huge rope that like a thick rope, not a huge
Uh-huh.
rope, but a thick rope that fits perfectly through that hole,
Yeah. And she
and it's
pulls
very
it,
suspicious. Yeah,
and then the
us,
door starts opening,
which is
and she
it's
says,
just the wall. It's just like drywall,
yeah,
and like she pulls it, and like the wall basically like just
it's just a door. Yeah. At that point it
yeah
becomes a
yeah yeah.
door. And then she says, nope. And then like she like
It's I
goes
love
back
that
upstairs.
because it
I know.
reminded me of the movie Nope.
Yeah, I know, me
Honestly, like
too.
that's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
why he named it that.
But then I thought she was gonna be smart about it, but no, when she
No,
goes back down there and then she discovers that there's like a tunnel down there and there's a room with a bed and a videotape camera, like a video camera. And
yeah,
she
no, it's not a tunnel. It's just a hallway. And then finally she sets up that's yeah. So she sets up the mirror
hmm
and then to get some light in there cuz
hmm
it's pitch dark in
yeah.
there. And she doesn't have anything. She doesn't have a light, which I don't know why she didn't go get her phone, right?
Yeah, I don't know why she would
I don't
leave
know
it.
why she didn't go get her phone.
No.
But yeah, so it's pitch black in there. And she puts up oh no, maybe did she try to leave out did she try to leave first?
No. Not yet.
She didn't try to leave first?
Uh-uh.
Um okay. Well, anyway, she sets up that thing and like finally to get like the mirror reflects the light that's coming from the ceiling to get some light in some sort of light in there. Finally, she gets all the way to the end and then she like turns to her left and there's like a little room. And she steps in the little room, turns on the light, and she discovers like it's like this fucking beat up little fucking room with like paint scraped off and like very old paint coming off and there's a dirty ass bed, like fucking dirty. And there's a camera on a tripod, and she like peeks and she's like freaking out. And then right when she peeks all the way to the left, there's a blood stain, which is a handprint, right? And then she like walks out. She's like, nope. And then she tries to leave, and the door's locked.
Yeah.
And then she's like, fuck.
And she doesn't
So
have her phone with her.
she doesn't have her phone. She had nothing. She just has to fucking wait there with that door open.
Yeah.
It's so scary.
I know.
I would be
Yeah.
terrified.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
And then
mean,
finally Keith gets home
Keith gets home. Yeah.
and he's able to like get her out or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he tells she tells him about this room, and then he goes down there, right? Or
So
not
she
yet.
tells him he comes and opens the door of the basement.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, she comes in he comes and opens the door to the basement and she like, we gotta go. We gotta go. There's a room down there. It's like it's bad. There's a camera. And he's like and I this goes back to like men not believing women or
Yeah.
not just because all he says is like, I believe you. It's like, calm down, calm down. Like you're getting all this bubble. Just calm down. Just give me 30 seconds.
Uh-huh.
I just want to go see. And I'm just like, bro, get the fuck out of there. Like,
Yeah.
like, why not trust her? But like, I think that ties back to the beginning
Mm-hmm.
of her like men being dickheads and
Yeah.
not believing women or
Yeah.
like thinking something is this way when something is really the other way. Um, and yeah, I mean, he's such a nice guy, in the beginning, and he still is, but it kind of it's the way it is. Like you start like that's I guess a women's complaint with men all the time,
Uh-huh.
where like they start off a certain way, they're so sweet, and then all of a sudden he's like a fucking huge dick, and it's
Yeah.
kind of that way. It's like he's
Yeah.
super sweet, super kind, gains your confidence, comes back, and then rather than listen to her and just leave,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, I just want to go down there, 30 seconds,
Yeah.
and he makes her go back there to that traumatizing
I
ass fucking
know.
fight. I'm like, bro.
Yeah.
And anyways, yeah, so he goes down there and she's waiting at the door just so the door won't lock. 'Cause that's what he says. Oh, that's how he gets her. He's like, I just don't want the door to lock. Can you
Mm-hmm.
just stay there just so the door won't lock? So she stays basically upstairs, or in the house. just making sure the door doesn't lock. And then she's like, "Do you see it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I see it." And then no response after that. So she's like, "Keith," and then no response. And she's like, "What the fuck?" So finally, she like was brave enough to. I don't even know. I would have left that motherfucker.
Yeah.
I would have
I'm
left.
like, all right, Keith, nice knowing you. I gotta
Nice
go.
knowing you, but yeah. So he fucking doesn't respond at all, and she goes. She finally gets brave enough to go get a chair, puts the
And this is
chair.
where you, as an audience member, are now thinking that Keith still is somewhat not responsible, but like
Yeah. Oh yes,
he's back in your conscience of like maybe he's in on it,
yeah.
you
Maybe
know?
he's in on it, and I did think that because
Yeah.
at some point I was like, oh my god, he's gonna put her in that room.
Uh huh.
Like she discovered the room that she wasn't
The way that
supposed
he
to
said,
just.
"Yeah, I see it," you know?
Yeah, like the way, yeah, it was something off about it, and
Uh
then
huh.
that's when I thought, so I'm just like, oh my god, she discovered the room she wasn't supposed to discover,
Yeah.
to gain her confidence. Like now, it's like he's gonna have to make things come quicker. He's gonna make her go down
Uh
there,
huh.
then shove her in that room, and it's gonna be that's where the movie's gonna like hit off. Not the case.
No.
She goes in that fucking hallway. She goes past it. She goes downstairs, past the fucking door in that hallway, turns to her left, looks in the room. And I love it that the camera's just looking at her. And she's
Yeah.
like, and you think Keith, something happened to Keith or whatever, or he's laying there or something. I thought he was in there
Uh huh.
and, or at least behind her or something. No response, nothing. And then obviously we see the camera pan to the room and nothing. There's nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, Keith? And finally, like,
Wasn't it like a slow pan too?
yes, it's
Wasn't
like
it
a.
like just like super
I'm
slow?
telling you, I thought either one in my head, I was like, either he's gonna be down there crying like a fucking baby or something, or didn't she check under the bed? Is
I
that what
think
she did?
so. Yeah.
Or, or he's gonna like shove her in there and lock her in there,
Yeah.
and then that's where the movie's gonna hit off. Nothing. She just didn't know where the fuck this guy was, and then finally she gets out of the room and she sees the door. Like she sees like another like possible door to her left.
Mm-hmm.
So down all the way down the hallway, which is right next to it, but you just can't see because there's no real light. And oh my god, she opened that fucking door, and there's just like an endless fucking pit of stairs.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, in my head, I'm just like, and you can see, I love her acting in that moment
Uh
because
huh.
she's like, you like she's freaking out, and then you at the moment she sees this, she goes, like she like it was so
Uh
overwhelming
huh.
for her, and in my head, I'm just like, don't go down there, because like that's
Yeah.
all you think about as an
Yeah.
audience. I'm just like, don't be stupid, don't go down there, go get some help or just whatever. There she,
I
Keith.
know.
The
Yelling.
way she said it would say shit or just scream it.
Yeah.
I love that her choices are amazing.
Yeah.
Keith, and she's
Uh
like,
huh.
he's like, hell. Jesus Christ, with the
Say it
Keith.
again.
Keith.
There you go.
But anyways, and then in the most faintest fucking scream that you could ever
Uh huh.
imagine,
Uh huh.
and she's like, because she hears him and she's just like freaking out, and I'm just like, don't go down there, and of course she goes down there.
Yeah, bro. Obvious.
Sorry, and then continue.
Uh,
That's where it ended off.
and yeah, and then like she goes looking for him, and then she finds him. She finds him, and he's fucking scared, and he's saying something bit me. We need to get the fuck out of
The way he
here.
comes out too,
Yes.
because she like goes,
Yeah.
she finally like goes all the way down the stairs, which is an
Mhm.
endless fucking
She sees
hole,
cages.
and she sees cages. Yes, she turns to her left, and then there's like another room, and there's cages in that fucking with bowls, and you're like, oh my god, what the fuck is going on? And then she's like, you could only see like whatever her little fucking. How did she even get light down there? Did she have her phone? Oh, yeah, she had her phone at that point. Yes, 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 because she already came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she does have her phone. So whatever her phone could flash.
Yeah.
And then just like out of the nowhere, Keith comes crawling. He's crawling, and you're just like,
Uh-huh.
oh my god, what is that? And then he's like, no, she's like, we have to go, we have to go. And he's like, no, no, no. He's like, something bit me. He's like, we have to
Yeah.
go this, we have to go this way. He gets
Yeah.
back there. And then this just they just stay there for a while. She's like, shh, just be quiet. And she's just freaking the fuck out. And then after a while, like finally, whatever, like he kind of convinces her to go the other way, the way he
No, they
came.
were fighting about it, weren't they?
Were they just fighting?
They
Maybe
were
they were
just
just
fighting about it.
fighting
They were
about
like
it still.
tugging back and forth at each other.
And
And
then you,
then all of a sudden, the fucking thing
oh my
comes from
god,
behind Keith, shrieks, gets Keith's head, and then just starts fucking bashing it
Smashes it,
to the
yeah.
fucking
So
side of the
you
wall.
don't get a good picture of, you could just see in like very faintly like this fucking creature come out.
Uh-huh.
And then you kind of see her within like this really, there's a lot of camera movement. And she just grabs Keith's head, bangs it up, smashes it completely.
Yeah.
Like gone, like just
Yeah.
to pieces.
And then
And
you as an audience member and I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe Keith wasn't in on
maybe, yeah, yeah.
it.
And then you're like, oh, you know what? Keith wasn't in on it.
Maybe Keith was a good boy. Maybe he wasn't.
And then there's a low camera shot, and it pans up, and like you see her in the shot, the Tess, and then you see the monster, and she goes, and then cut, and you're like, what the fuck? And it's just like you think the movie kind like in a way, I was like, did this movie go by so fast
Yeah.
that it ended? Like I
Uh-huh.
was so in like, what's the word I'm like I was just so in this engaged in this movie
Uh-huh.
that it just passed like within like 30 minutes,
Good
40
beginning,
minutes.
right?
Pretty good, yeah.
Pretty fucking good
Pretty
beginning.
good, yeah.
And then it cuts to another story of
That's where I was like, yeah.
Justin Long. He
Hmm.
is a Hollywood actor and he is fucking just cruising down the
I mean,
mountain
your
range.
typical frat kind of boy
Yeah.
where he's like trying to
Yes.
fuck
Like
everybody.
self-centered kind of thing.
Yeah.
He gets a call from his agent saying, "Hey, this movie, like you're now being accused of like sexual
A
assault.
pilot. It was a pilot.
Yeah, this pilot that you shot is like probably not gonna move on without like with you in it."
Yeah.
And he's like, "What the fuck? What are they accusing me of?" And I'm like, "She's saying that you raped her."
Hmm.
And you just fucking bitch, this fucking bitch. And
Yeah,
it's
it's like
like, it's again like I think this movie does this a lot, like very well of like how men react to like women's like
accusations and
things, you
stuff.
know,
Yeah.
like women's insecurities against men, and then like why that is. Like he's saying that he raped her, like this fucking bitch is gonna ruin my career. Like you know,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah, that's
that's
the
what you
first thing he
think.
thought. This fucking bitch trying to ruin my career.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my God.
yeah. And so, and I think, what do you think of Justin Long? Because I really like Justin Long.
Like you like him like as an actor?
I like him
Or
as the
like a
character that he plays because he always plays the same character.
I was gonna say that you hate those characters in the sense of like they're they're it's like la sangre like bien pesada, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh yeah.
Like that's the character that he plays. It's just like he's just an annoying ass fucking guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he plays that
I
character
watched. Listen,
super well, but yes, he
I
is
watched
weird.
another movie very recently with Justin Long.
Yeah, you really like this guy, huh?
No, but I guess yes. Um, it was very recently, and he was like going home with this girl, and she's like she's trying to be a vampire, or no, a cannibal. No,
What the fuck?
all three. she's just like
All of it.
she's just like one of those things where it's just like very fucking barbarian. House of Darkness. That's the movie,
Oh, the
and
barbarians.
like he's basically wanting to like sleep with this girl that he met at a bar or whatever, and he's the same character,
Yeah, that is the
you
same
know?
character. That's funny.
And so and he's awkward and he's weird and he's just like self-centered and all
Yeah.
this other
I mean
stuff.
he's not the guy. He's very clearly the guy that I guess women would go for because he has status and money.
Yeah.
But he's not the guy that's supposed to have status and money, you
No.
know.
Yeah.
He's a fucking kid. I mean,
Yeah.
he acts like a high schooler. He's like in his 30s or something like that, maybe early 40s, and he's just that one
Clearly like a
character.
mama's boy, but like his
Yeah.
dad is like disappointed in him or something. Because
Yeah.
whenever he was like, "Oh, your dad wants to see you," like his mom calls him. And it was like, what do you want me to say? And he was like, I want you to say that she's a fucking liar and that you're on my side on this. And it was like, well, I'm sure you're not capable of those things and all those other things. And they were like, well, why don't you come to Detroit? He was already in Detroit. And like,
Yeah.
when are you gonna come to Michigan? And like, you know, your dad wants to see you. And he stops you like, he said that? Well, you know how he is.
He
It's just one of
didn't
those things where
quite
like
say that.
his character is very well like established as a like one of those people that like just like
He's a
craving attention.
fucking dick.
Yeah,
Creepy. He's like a creepy fucking person.
yeah, and like not necessarily like a he's a bad person, but he doesn't necessarily want to do bad things. He's just like so in his own little fucking
Yeah,
world.
he thinks everything is fine and dandy, and every girl
Yes,
should be following him.
yeah,
Yeah.
so he gets accused
Yeah,
of this, and
he's
he's
like he's a. I mean, the best way I could explain him is he's a frat boy in that sense, like
yeah,
an entitled frat boy.
yeah, yeah. And so like he gets news of all this, and then he realizes that he's pretty much canceled, right?
Yeah.
And that there's a report that's gonna come out, like a Hollywood Reporter kind of article that's gonna come out, and yeah, so he's like trying to see what his finances are like, and he sees that like he only has like about 3 weeks or 3 months or something like that of finances with the rate of spending that he has,
Hmm.
because he just spends all his money or whatever.
Oh yeah,
And then he decides to like go sell off his properties, some of his properties in Michigan, and one of them happens to be this house.
the
So
Airbnb.
he
Yeah.
owns the house. And this is one of the things that I really did love about the movie, is that like now it turned from like a very serious movie to like almost like a comedy, when like he
When he
gets
would,
there.
yeah,
What's up?
well, yeah, when they go to the second story and you see him immediately, like the tone changes.
Yeah, the tone changes completely. And then like you just get him going into the house, and like, he realizes that there's stuff there from the last booking, which is Tess and Keith's
Yeah,
booking.
I mean,
And
all
then
their stuff is still there.
yeah. And
Yeah,
so he
yeah, yeah.
calls the real estate agent that's in charge of this stuff, and like, somebody's staying here, and they tell him like, no, that was like a couple of weeks ago, and like nobody has cleaned it since or whatever. And
Yeah,
basically,
because that's the thing. You don't know. Like in the first story, like it cuts off at when Tess sees the monster.
yes.
And so you don't know how much time has elapsed until
Yeah.
that moment. She's like, "Oh, that was a couple weeks ago, though." But
Uh-huh.
even then, you don't know if that's them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, well, I guess you could kind of
No,
like
you kind
say
of know
this. Yeah,
because you
yeah,
see
yeah.
her
Because he
laptop, you
said it
see
was
his toothbrush and all that kind of
no,
stuff.
no, yes. But in the beginning when he had just arrived, well, I guess her car's still there.
Yeah, her car's still there.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah.
then, like, he sees like he's wanting to liquidate this, right? He wants to sell this property off, and he why does he go into the basement? Does he hear something?
yeah, he heard shit. Because remember, he's kind of freaked out because there's people shit there. So he's
Oh
thinking there's
yeah.
somebody randomly sleeping there
Oh
for
yeah,
free.
squatters. He's afraid of squatters being
Yeah.
there, like taking over his home or whatever. And so he gets like a little knife from the kitchen. You get the little montage scene of like him preparing to
Yeah.
go and like
Yeah, he goes
attack
down to the
whatever.
basement. He's like, all right, I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to come up here. He's like, if you come up here, like I let you go. He's like, but if I have to go down there, I have a fucking gun. I'll shoot your ass
Yeah,
or some shit.
yeah.
He
Which
has
he
no
doesn't
gun.
have a gun.
But she doesn't. He doesn't have
Yeah.
a gun.
So he has this little
Uh,
knife. He goes with his flashlight down there or whatever. He discovers a rope that Tess found, and he sees the mirror that she has set up all slumped over. So like somebody had like knocked it all over and all that kind of stuff.
mhm.
And he
No, the
pulls.
mirror's it's just in that position. It's still in the same position she
Oh, it
left it at.
was. I thought it had fallen over already.
No, 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 no.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. Like in that same everything, there's a stereo holding it, so it won't like slide
Mm.
down, like in the position she left it in.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
oh, that's one cool little thing that I would have never thought about. The bulb is burnt out,
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh, it's burnt out because she left it on. So
Yeah.
it's like obviously, I don't know. I know it's not. It shouldn't be as exciting as
Uh
it
huh.
sounds, but or as making it out as I'm making it seem.
But it's a
But
little. It's the
it's
little
exciting
things.
because like those are the little things like
Yeah.
when you're in this business that make your movies such
Uh
10
huh.
times better because like
Yeah.
with acting it's things like that, you
Yeah.
know. Or like with writing when like you mention something here and then you mention it again at the end or like in the middle or like then you realize at the end like you finally understand what's going on here.
Uh huh.
So things like that anyways, but
Yeah.
yes, it was exciting to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's the little things that like really make your movie great, or just like it's better.
Just better, yeah.
Um, and so he finds the rope that Tess found, and he pulls it open, and then like he sees this, and he's like almost horrified, right? But then it cuts to him Googling, can you
Yeah,
count? Like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
because he
yeah,
finds the room. He finds the room. He goes in there and he
yeah,
sees the room with the camera and the dirty ass bed.
yeah.
And he looks horrified at this.
You
You
think
think,
you
right? You
think
think he'd
he's
be
fucking like,
horrified.
oh my god, what the fuck happened in here? And no, this guy's just like, how much more money am I going to make?
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know this.
Yeah, he didn't even know that room was down there. So he starts Googling if he can count it as the square footage. And he sees that he can list it as You can list it in the total acreage of the house or whatever,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you can't like list it as living space.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like he then like opens up the second door. And
Oh,
again, he
yeah,
looks
yeah, yeah.
horrified again, and he's like, "Score!" And he just fucking puts the
Yeah,
tape
yeah, yeah.
measure. Oh, by the way, he's just measuring
That's
this
what I'm saying.
room at
That's what I was
this
gonna say.
point.
He starts measuring. He goes up to the fucking upstairs,
Yeah,
and he grabs. Which, by the way, where did that computer come from? That Test's computer
that's
that
his
hit.
computer. Yeah,
That's his computer, not Test.
Tess's.
How is it Test? Because you remember he tried to open Test's computer earlier in that.
Oh no, that's his computer.
That's
That
his
would be
computer.
his
Okay,
computer. Yeah,
because he got his Test's computer, and then he tried a password like he was gonna like somehow will this shit to
and then
unlock.
just perfectly like tossed
Is that
it.
perfectly tossed? I'm like, but in my head, I'm like, bro, like, how entitled are you to think that this fucking like you're gonna guess the password
I think
on
that's
the
the
first
character.
try and it's gonna be like I love men or I or some
Yeah,
I mean I don't know
yeah,
what it was like what he typed, but I was just like, this is so stupid.
yeah.
Um,
But
but
that's
that's
his
his
character.
character.
Yeah,
That's his character.
yeah.
And anyways, yes, he goes down. He finally goes back downstairs. He gets a measuring tape and he starts measuring everything. He's like all these calculations. Goes into the room, doesn't care. Except he sits on the bed at one point, and like I just love how like as human beings, like anywhere we sit that's dirty, we think it's gonna clean it. I don't know why do
I
we do
know.
that as human
He just
beings. It's
said
just like
gross, and he just like
yeah,
started
he's like
wiping it
gross, and he
away.
just cleans his ass. But like, why do we do that as human beings?
Yeah,
Like anywhere we sit that's kind of remotely dirty, we just go
yeah,
like, oh yeah, like that's gonna clean all that fucking
yeah,
shit you just sat on.
yeah.
Anyways, while he's measuring the hallway, he backs up and then he hits the door. And then he realized that's kind of hollow, and he's like, "What the fuck?" So then he opens it, and then he's like, and then he sets the measuring tape, and then he starts measuring all the way down. He's not scared one bit about this
No,
fuck. He doesn't
no,
give a
this is not
fuck,
creeping him out at all.
and not one bit. No, no, he's just like, who's? It is his. Who's gonna be here?
Yeah,
Like So it's just like he just like measures it all the way down, goes to the left, sees all the same shit that she starts seeing,
uh huh.
and then he finds that room, right?
Yeah, he finds a room with the nursing room.
Yeah, the nurse. There's just a little small TV in
Uh
there,
huh.
and then all of a sudden, uh, he feels a tug on the
On the
measuring
measuring
tape,
tape.
and it just unwinds as fast as possible, and then it swoops out of his hand,
Yeah.
and then it just I love those hard fast zooms.
Uh huh.
He's like, and then
It
it's
goes
like
into like a super wide angle too. I don't know if you noticed that. Like it went from like a normal angle to
I
like a
think so.
super wide,
Yeah,
and then you just there with the fucking with the flashlight and the little ass knife, and then he
he's like
drops the knife
he's
too.
like, what the fuck? Yeah, he had some funny moments in there.
Yes, and then he just like drops the knife and he just fucking bolts.
Yeah.
He just starts running
Yeah,
for it.
because he sees the creature, right? Does he
Hmm.
see the creature first, or does he start running
No,
first?
I think he started running first.
Okay, so he starts running, and at some point, I think he does see the creature, though. I don't remember. Anyways, he starts running, and I
No,
don't
that
know.
was later. That was later whenever he was getting into the room with the guy in it. The creature is there, but then she backs away.
No, yes, I know what you're talking about. But
Okay,
I
what
think
was
no,
it?
but I think he does see the creature at some
Oh,
point
okay.
in there, because then he sees the creature, whatever point that is, and then he starts running away,
Hmm.
and then he falls into that pit.
Yeah,
Does he see the creature? Now that I'm thinking about, because I saw the creature with Tess
yeah.
earlier.
I think he
Maybe
just
not.
falls into
I
the
don't
pit.
remember. But anyways, he's running away, and like he falls into this fucking. At this point, you don't know it's a pit. You just think it's like a like down the stairs or
Uh
something,
huh.
like more stairs.
Yeah,
And then this thing closes. It's like a fucking trap, and you're like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
yeah. Is that where it cuts to another story?
No, no. So basically, that thing closes, and he's like kind of like all like atarantado. He's like, what the fuck just happened? The light goes out. He finally tries to get the light to like turn back on all of a sudden. And then he's like looking up. He's like, what the fuck? And then you start realizing it's like this pit that he's in, like this fuck.
Uh
It's
huh.
a hole in the
Yeah.
fucking. It gets made to like trap people. And then all of a sudden, like it's just him. And then the camera like pans right. And then she's like, shh. And then you see it's Tess.
I thought that was later though.
No, that was at that moment.
Are you sure?
I'm
Because
positive. I
that's
just,
when she starts feeding him, right? That's when he tries to feed him.
yeah. Oh, no, I think it cuts away and then it cuts back to them.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think it cuts away
It
to.
cuts away at that moment though, I think, when you realize that it's Tess. I think it does that same thing it does at the beginning.
Oh, does it?
I think so, yeah. Cause you were like, I remember it was like a shocker. I thought Tess was dead.
Me too. Yeah.
I thought she, and then in my head, I'm just like, she's got to be dead.
Yeah.
Cause like, oh, sorry. When I saw her, I was like, in my head, I was like, how is she still alive? I mean, it's
Yeah.
been weeks. She has no water, no food.
Yeah.
Like, how she's been trapped in this fucking pit.
Uh huh.
And then I think it cuts away to somewhere else. Where does it cut to though?
Doesn't it go to the story of how of the like before it was this fucking
Oh no, I
horrific
don't think
place?
so. No, then, hmm. I don't know. But at some point, this fucking creature, like, puts this fucking bottle down this, like, cause it's like a cage, kind of like a trap. Like it has it's like a checkerboard
Uh
kind of
huh.
thing, and like so she could put her hand down there, and it's just this fucking disgusting ass bottle. Like it's oversized. Like it looks fucking nasty. Like
There's a hair on it.
oh, multiple hairs on it.
Yeah.
Like multiple fucking hairs on this thing. And like the only thing I could say that it looks like a huge used condom. Like and
Oh yeah, it does.
that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Like that's how
Looks like a Jimmy hat.
disgusting it fucking looks.
Yeah.
Um, because it's oversized. It's not like your regular small little
Yeah.
bottle for a baby. Like it's like an adult bottle.
Yeah. Oh, it
It's
was like
like
something they use for like giraffes or something like that.
oh yes, 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 like an animal bottle. It's like
Yeah.
it's fucking yellow. Like
Yeah.
it's
So
so
nasty.
it's disgusting. And then she's like offering the bottle, and Ted's like, drink it, and he's like,
Yeah.
and then she's like, drink it. It's like, don't make her mad. And everything Tess tells him, don't freak out. You're gonna make her mad. Blah blah blah. This and that. Just drink it. Does completely opposite,
Yeah.
obviously, because he's a fucking entitlement
Uh-huh.
guy. And so like Tess drinks the bottle. Like she drinks because it's milk, and she drinks the
Mm.
milk out this bottle. And anyways, finally the door opens. Like, uh, the creature gets pissed because the creature's a she, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a she. So the creature gets pissed. She comes down there, opens the door, comes down there, and oh my god, because she's like, I don't know how tall is this bitch, like 8, 9 feet tall. She's
Something like that.
fucking tall,
Uh-huh.
bro. And she basically like takes him out and just takes him out the hole and leaves.
Yeah.
And then the cage is open. And then she like lo arrastra all the way to she drags him all the way down to that little room from
Uh-huh.
earlier. And then she tries to force feed him from her breast.
Yeah.
From her breast, which is like you should see this creature. It's
Uh-huh.
horrendous, this
Yeah.
creature. And so then Tess at that moment is
Because
like,
the tape that was playing in the thing was a breastfeeding video
yes,
that was
it's a
saying like a breastfed like a fed baby
yeah,
is
how
like
to
a
like
happy baby.
that tape that guy picked up.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so this was.
That's what I'm trying to get at. That's
Oh,
what I'm
yeah. I
saying.
wonder where it was though.
I think it was when he fell into the pit. I think it cut to black. I think it cut to black, and then like it was like the home, but the neighborhood looked nothing like the neighborhood, and you realize, and it was like a 4:3 aspect ratio, and it was like
Oh, was it?
it was
Oh my
yes,
god, I
because
don't remember.
this took place like back in like the
Yeah, this was
whatever like the
when that
80s.
neighborhood was still
It
like
was it looked good.
it looked good.
It
Like
looked
it
like a
was
good
barely
neighborhood.
getting because there's a moment in there where people that one of his neighbors like I'm gonna sell the house like
Yes,
before because we're scared that we're not gonna be able to sell it because so
yes,
things were just starting to get bad, but it
yeah,
was
and I
still a
think
nice neighborhood.
because Detroit was like that. Detroit, the history with Detroit, it was like it was a
Hmm.
motor city, right? There
Yeah,
was a lot of cars being built
yeah, a lot
there,
of manufacturing.
a lot of manufacturing, and then overnight it just fucking stopped.
Yeah,
And everybody lost their house, everybody, all these investments that people had made went to shit.
it's a shit show. Yeah,
And so since then, Detroit has been a fucking shit show,
yeah.
right? And that's kind of like what was happening. And so Greg, I think his name was a neighbor, was selling his house. Boy got out when he did. That's fucking good for him.
Good job for that guy, man.
But yeah, this creepy fucking old guy, uh, he's living in the house, it's his house, and he's going to the grocery store
Yeah,
and
to pick up like weird supplies.
yeah, he picks up like a this plastic mat, like a drape or whatever. I don't know what it's called. What is he call a plastic like a tarp almost.
Okay.
And then diapers.
He picked up diapers. He picked up diapers, but he before that he picked up like bed linings or something like that.
It was a plastic tarp. It was a plastic tarp.
Oh, that's what it
They
was.
called it something else, but it was a
It's like
plastic something.
it's like sheets. It's like
Yes.
yeah. So like you set them before like when people have to pee or poop and they can't control it, and then they're in.
No, no, no. I think it was like for the mess, like just to like a fucking giant ass rug or something like that. But it's all plastic, so that you don't have to.
No, but he did get those. Then I don't remember what you're talking about. But he did get those. He got some linings. I remember he said some lining, and then he went to the diapers. But maybe
Okay.
before that he got something else. But those linings are for like the bed. So when,
Okay. I don't know, but he
anyways,
picked
yeah,
up something, and then he picked
he
up
got the weird
diapers.
shit. Yeah,
Yeah, and then that videotape of breastfeeding,
he
and
picked that
like
up because there's a lady helping him, and
yes,
then she's like, "Oh, like, did your wife give you a list or some shit like
your
that?"
midwife. Yeah.
Yeah, did your midwife? She must have gave you a list. He's like, so when's the baby due? And he's like, or no, he's like, how old's the baby? He's
Uh
like, the
huh.
baby's not here yet. And he's like, and then that's when he says about the she says about the midwife. Your midwife must have gave you
Yeah,
a
because he
list.
was like, "Oh, are you gonna have her at Mercy Hospital, whatever?"
Yeah,
And she's like, "Home birth," and then she goes like, "Oh, okay, well, that's precious or whatever." And then like she got the plastic whatever it was,
uh
and
huh,
then put it in his cart, and then he asked her. I mean, she asked him, "Oh, like, okay, well, what else do you need? Did you have a list? Your midwife must have gave you a list." And they were like, "Just me. It's just me." And he was like, "Oh shit!" And then she just starts putting shit in his cart: the diapers, latex gloves,
hmm.
the cassette tape, the videotape or whatever, and then
What did he mean by just me?
there was no midwife.
Okay, right?
Yeah, what?
Wait, what's a midwife?
A midwife is
Oh,
somebody that specializes in home birth.
that's true. Okay,
It's
yeah,
somebody
yeah,
that goes
yeah.
like,
Okay, that was yeah. I was thrown off a little bit. That makes sense.
yeah.
Okay,
So he was just saying that there's no
there
midwife.
was
There's
yeah, yeah,
nobody
yeah, yeah,
telling
yeah.
us what to do. It's just a home birth.
Okay, yeah.
And so that's why she helped him. And then like
Uh-huh.
he comes out, and I love the framing of this. Okay, so he comes out, he puts the stuff in his trunk, and then he backs his car up, and then in the frame, there's a window right in the middle, and you can see it goes right focuses outside of the car onto like another car where this girl is putting in her groceries and
Yeah.
like he just stays there. And then like the girl finally gets in the car, starts to drive away, and he drives along with her. But like the car perfectly stays in the window. And I thought it looked so cool. I don't know. I just love the framing of that. And I was like, I was even thinking of like,
No,
how
no, I know
did
what you're talking.
I wonder
It
how
was
they did that. And I was like, I bet he wasn't even looking at her. Like he was looking at a monitor where like he could like see the framing of the car just to make sure that he stayed. And I was
Oh,
like,
that makes sense.
that's how I would do it for sure. And I was like, that
Hmm,
was
yeah.
fucking cool. And yeah, and so then he pretended to
I don't
be.
know.
He gets to her house. He puts on like a jumper, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah. He
he
parks like far. You
yeah
clearly, sorry, he's clearly stalking this
yeah
woman.
he's stalking this girl,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then he pretends to be like somebody from the gas or the water or something.
Some city thing, some
Yeah.
city thing. So he's like, I just want to check the lines. We've been doing some work, it's like some whatever.
Uh huh.
So he gets like, she's like, oh yeah, sure, come in. He gets in there, goes in the restroom, turns on the water, unlocks the window, turns off the water, goes out. Everything's good, man. And I'm just like, some fucking weird shit's about to happen.
It's
Some
just so fucking easy to.
I That's what scared me the most about that one little scene. I'm like, that seems way too easy,
Uh huh.
right? It's just like my dude's just gonna come and just kidnap this fucking poor
Yeah.
lady in the middle of the night.
Uh huh.
It was so bad.
Yeah. And so then he returns home, and I think that's when it cuts back to uh
Maybe he returns home, goes all the way down the hallway, and then right when he's about to go downstairs, and then that's when it
he hears
cuts.
screamings, right?
Oh
He
yeah,
hears
there's
screams,
screamings
and
down
then the
there.
door shuts, and I think it cuts back to like the house in current times,
I think so. Yeah.
right? And then it's yeah, and then like they just like continue on with Tess and AJ's story, and
Mm-hmm.
AJ's gone. Like what you said happened, where like the bottle, fucking disgusting bottle, right? It's just so whatever was inside of that bottle could not have tasted good, and then they
Mm-mm.
just like she takes AJ, and then like Tess starts jumping out to like try to get out of this pit because it's finally open,
Yeah.
right? And she manages to like escape, and she sees that AJ's being breastfed, and then she goes out, tries to keep quiet, and the fucking measuring tape. Oh my
The
god, I love
measuring
when
tape.
movies do that when like something is there for comedic relief, but then actually play an important part in the story.
Yeah.
So she like
Yeah, it wasn't like a gimmick. That's what I did
it wasn't a
appreciate. It
gimmick.
wasn't a gimmick.
Yeah, it wasn't something like, you know what would be funny? What if they get a measuring tape and then we just sort of measure? No, like this is like planned out. I really like that. And so she steps on it and the monster hears it and then she just fucking darts and she just
Yeah.
goes. She sees that the door is locked behind the attic or whatever, and so she breaks a window. And this fucking homeless guy just comes
Oh, we
and
never
helps him.
discussed
We didn't
that.
even help. Yeah, we didn't even touch on the
Sorry. So
homeless
okay.
guy.
So back in the story, when she comes back to the Airbnb from the director interview that she had, or the interview with the director that she had, there's a homeless guy that just
Running down the
darts
street,
towards her
you
and
see him
says,
small, and
"Don't."
then just
Yeah.
get bigger and bigger
You
and
well, the
bigger.
thing is, you see him blurry, and
Yeah.
she's barely getting out. So he's like blurry, but he's like running, and you just fucking feel some like terror
Uh huh.
while he's running, and he's like, "Don't go in there, get
Yeah.
out
Get
that
out the house.
house,"
Get out the
and
house.
she's just darts the fuck in
Yeah.
that house, gets the key as fast as possible, opens it, barely closes it, and then all you hear him say is, "She's like, get leave," and he's all like, "Get out of that house,
Uh
get
huh.
out of that house, you
And
don't
you
be in
think he's
that
a bad
house."
guy.
You think he's a bad guy.
Yeah. And so then
Which
whenever,
very clearly it's like a get out situation.
yes.
Where like
Yeah.
he is warning her.
Yeah.
He is
Yeah.
not trying to,
Hurt you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
hurt her. And anyway, so yes, that's
So she breaks the window of
she
the
breaks the
attic.
window, and that same guy is the one that comes out
Uh huh.
and helps her.
And says, you need to go because at night she's going to be here and she's going to look for you.
That's the thing that was scary when he's like she comes out.
Yeah.
You know what also was fucking scary when he's all like, it's like, I know she's down there. And then one of the
That's
things
not the scariest thing that's
it's like
down
that's
there.
not the scariest thing that's down there. And I was like, what you
What you
What you
mean?
mean? What you mean it ain't the
What you getting
scariest
at? What you
thing?
getting at? Because
Huh?
that's not.
What do you mean by that? What do you exactly mean by that?
Yeah.
So anyway, she tries to help the guy. She goes and finds help. Nobody really wants to help her. She calls the police. The police come.
Most useless
Look,
fucking police.
just
It was
about.
so
I ain't
frustrating,
never seen
bro.
method acting like that before.
Oh my. Oh my god, it was so bad.
The most useless fucking cops in the fucking world. It was
It was
crazy.
bad. But
Yeah.
that scene was infuriating. They didn't
It was,
believe her.
yeah, they didn't believe
And
her. She goes back in the house and
and
goes fucking and
you
finds this
see that the
guy.
fucking light is going out. Like you see that the sun's going down and it's like dusk. Like it's about to the sun's about to go down. So her time is running out. And like she's trying to find help for AJ
Yeah.
for this piece of shit.
But that fucking piece of shit, yeah, exactly.
And so then she like she waits for night to come. She gets in her Jeep, she waits for night to come,
Yeah.
and then the creature comes out and she just fucking runs her over and then smashes her into the house.
Into the house.
And then she go gets AJ.
Yeah. She goes gets AJ, and then AJ is like going somewhere else. And he's like,
Yes.
yes, AJ's like tracking this, like, there's a couple of like
Wires and a
electric
bell.
wires that like that are like maybe like three or four. And he just knows that there's something.
Uh-huh.
So he like tracks it.
He follows it.
He
Yeah.
follows it, yeah, and then
He gets to like all the way to this
oh no,
door.
wait.
Yes, this is before that. This is while the cop scene was
This is
happening.
before that. That is
Yeah.
so true. This is before that. How did he escape her though?
Because she went to go after her and he escaped.
Oh yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And so like
Yeah, that's what happened.
he's like I think he has her phone or his flashlight. I don't know what he has, but like he sees her like coming and he like backs up
Yeah.
against the door and he sees her coming and then like she actually retreats.
Yeah, she refuses. Like, there's something else worse in there
Yes.
that than her.
Yeah.
And
And
you're
so
just
he
like,
goes in
what the
there and it's
fuck?
the fucking guy. It's
It's
the fucking guy. He's still alive. He's
Mhm.
old as shit.
Fuck. The way
And
he coughed, bro.
oh my god. I just want
Like,
like
I ain't never heard a cough like that. It was like, oh, I don't even know how to
so
explain.
much.
It was
Yeah.
like the thickest phlegm
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
ever heard in my
Yeah.
entire life.
And so then you see he's like, oh, I'm gonna call the fucking cops. They're gonna swarm this place. They're gonna know everything that's happening in this place. And then he sees a shelf full of tapes.
Yeah.
that is just like red hair and like all this other place. And a oh no, before that, okay, so before that, before he sees the wall full of shelves, like
Mhm.
the old man is asking for something and he
Oh,
doesn't
yes.
know what it is, and so he just brings the entire drawer to him. He was like, "I don't know what you're
Oh,
saying,
when
man."
he when he sorry, there's so many things in this movie. When and like by things like it's obvious things, it's on like
Mhm.
hidden messages. Um right outside of her little room that she stays at where he breastfed him, there's a bell. You
Mm,
remember that? And then that's when he starts, and then that's when he sees the wires, and then that's when he
yeah,
tracks. Okay, so the reason I'm saying this is because he kept pointing to something, and this guy is like, I don't know what the fuck you want, buddy. So he
yeah,
gives him water, didn't want the water. So then finally he's looking, it's like there's a whole bunch of cans that are foodless, like or old or
uh-huh,
whatever. So he just moves the whole cajon. Well, at
yeah,
that moment when he moved the whole thing, the whole
drawer.
table drawer, clearly I'm Mexican, and he moves the whole drawer over to him. I saw the little wire, and I thought the guy was gonna ring the bell, but then that didn't happen.
Well,
That's where I thought it was going.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that didn't happen.
I was
But either way,
either way, yeah,
while AJ's looking at this wall full of VHS tapes, the
yeah,
old man is grabbing a fucking gun from the drawer, right?
yeah,
And then AJ looks at the what had just happened in the VHS, and then he sees the old man. He's like, "What the fuck is this?" And the old man
yeah.
gets the gun. I thought he was gonna shoot
And at
AJ.
this point, sorry, the things in the VHS, you think that he's torturing these women.
Yeah.
Like at this point, that's what you think, because like you hear the screams and you saw the room from earlier, and you
Uh
just know
huh.
that this man is just torturing this fucking woman,
Yeah.
these women, or
Yeah.
that woman specifically, I guess.
And so you see the gun and you see it pointing at AJ, and you think this motherfucker's gonna about to kill AJ,
Yeah,
and he just gets the gun and he shoots
shoots
himself.
himself. Yeah,
And so then after that, AJ is like, we leave AJ, we go back to Tess. Tess runs over the creature,
that's when the
and
murder of
then
the creature.
Tess goes back to go for AJ,
Yeah.
and AJ fucking shoots her.
What a fucking bitch, man.
Like
I
whenever
was
you saw it,
super.
I was like, oh no.
I can't believe she went back for this fucking
I
shit
know.
bag.
And so then like he picks her up and he's like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry,
She
I'm so sorry,
collapses
I'm
like
so."
you think she's
Yeah.
dead, but you don't know where he shoots. Like, it's all in the head, but
Yeah.
she plays kind of dead
Yeah.
in a way. And you think, but she's just in shock.
Yeah.
And then I loved it too when he's all like, "Oh fuck," he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Here,
Yeah.
let me help you or whatever." And then finally, like she like comes back into like consciousness, and like her scream was like, "Ah!" It's like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god."
Yeah.
So
Really
that was
good too.
it was so good.
Yeah.
That part was so good by her. Like
Yeah.
she was really good. I really liked her.
And then they start going out of the house and they see that the creature's no longer at the hood of the car
Yeah, yeah. He's
and
no
it has
longer in
gone
between
away.
there. I had
And
no
then
idea.
she knows where to go because the homeless guy, whenever
Yeah.
he got her out the window, he told her, "I'm gonna be by the water tower." She never goes there. And
Yeah.
so that's where she goes. And then they start talking about it. And then that's where like you kind of like you start thinking that like she is that Justin Long, that AJ is like someone going to like a character arc where like he's becoming better because
Yeah.
he's like, I don't think I'm a bad person. I just did a bad thing. But like that is like I
Hmm.
need to like make up for it, right?
Yeah. I mean, he
And
clearly doesn't fucking know what the fuck.
Tess thinks that he's talking about shooting her. And so then like the homeless guy was like, okay, are we safe here? I'm like, oh yeah, we're totally safe here. If this bitch never comes here and then fucking comes out,
That's what he said.
fucking rips out his arm like
Yeah.
a
Rips through
fucking
concrete wall, comes
yes.
out, grabs this dude. I think,
And his name is John Cena.
and John.
She comes out like the fucking Kool-Aid man.
The thing is, you don't even fucking know what she's doing.
Yeah.
She's just holding him, and you think, and all of a sudden you realize that she's pulling his arm, and he rips his fucking arm
Uh-huh.
out of his body. Just
This is
straight.
where it gets really campy. This is where he really gets like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Jason versus Freddy and all that kind of shit.
yeah,
Where it's just like impossible shit. You know what I mean? And it just like starts hitting him over the hitting the homeless guy with his own fucking arm. Why
yeah.
are you hitting
Beating him
yourself?
to
Why are you
death
hitting yourself?
with his
Yeah.
own fucking arm.
Yeah. That poor guy deserved
Poor.
better.
All he wanted to do was help.
Help. Just help him
And
out.
the thing is, bro, he would have survived if she just didn't go for that fucking guy.
Yeah. He,
Because it was
he
that
already
guy
saved
that
her. He already saved her. And then it fucking
and then that girl got him killed
yeah.
because she went for that fucking guy.
Uh-huh. And then
Anyways,
they
both of them
start
run out. They both run out. She's obviously very wounded because she got fucking shot. And then AJ's like running up this like water tower. It was a water tower, right?
Yeah.
This
He
water
leaves her
tower.
behind, by the
He
way.
leaves her behind and she's like, wait. And he does not give a fuck. And then finally somehow she gets all the way to the top. He's already there and he's like,
He drops the gun, by the
there's
way.
nowhere to go. Well, that's what I was gonna get at. He's like, there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. And then Tess, still this poor fucking girl. She's like, your gun. He's like, oh yeah, my gun. Whips out the gun, fumbles the bag, bro. The fucking gun falls right beside this fucking monster coming up the fucking stairs. And then after that fucking shit, like the monster's there, and then AJ's like, I'm so sorry. He's all like, I could get away. It's like, but you have to slow her down.
Yeah.
Grabs her by the fucking hair and just flings her. Slings her all the way down. You see this poor girl like,
Oh, by the way, the homeless man, before all this happened, explains that this shit is
oh
all
yes,
incest. And all this shit is a copy of a copy of a
yes.
copy. And then when you get all that incest, you get to that
You
fucking
get that
monster.
fucking monster. Yeah, so apparently this guy was he raped these women. These women had kids, and then he would rape the kids, and then he'd have babies with his kids, and then he
Yes.
just kept doing that, and just kept doing that for who knows how fucking long until so that creature was his daughter.
Yeah.
This man's fucking daughter.
Yes.
And that's why you realize
well, also
she was
great granddaughter as well.
yeah, his daughter as well as his great who knows how many fucking great granddaughters it was.
Uh-huh.
Cuz just remember, bro, like it's been years since that Detroit thing.
Yeah.
And I think
I think they
a
had
lot
said
of
40
females
years ago.
40 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's at least
3 generations.
3 generations,
Yeah.
maybe
Possible
4.
generations.
Because yeah, possible cuz like I know that women could have like kids. Oh no, sorry. This is just from the point that we know like where that little scene was at, which was 40 years,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, and that one.
But he'd
we-
already had people in there, so we don't
yeah.
know how
We
long.
also get the homeless man saying it was 40 years. We don't know how long it had been going on before that.
That's what I'm
40
saying.
years might have been the point where, like, by that point, he was already, like, the monster was already there. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
And the moment that we saw that, that's what I'm saying. Like the moment that we saw in the actual scene, like that's not when he started doing that. Like he'd
No.
already had women down there, and
Yeah.
maybe who knows how many creatures he had
That's true.
created.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's that point. So
Yeah.
yeah, out to him, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, so who knows how many generations,
Yeah.
but
But he flings her off.
flings her off the water tower.
And her being a motherly figure, because that's
Yeah.
all they are. They're just taught to be mothers.
yeah.
Goes.
Well, she's like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, she's like super mentally ill, like,
Oh, yeah.
still human being in a way,
Uh-huh.
but still like she wants to be a mother because like she knows she grows up and like she wants to be
Uh-huh.
she wants to take care of somebody.
Yeah.
But she's very much in like this like primal mindset, you know,
Mhm.
like a child kind of. It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, so it's like in a way the creature's kind of sweet.
Yeah.
And but that's why you realize that the creature didn't want to go to the door because she was terrified of that man because that's her father.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
just like, "Oh my, that makes so much sense why she backed up."
Uh-huh.
You know? So, cuz who knows how many times that man fucking raped that creature,
Yeah.
which that's fucking crazy. Once you get to that stage and you're just like,
You're still like, okay, I'm still fucking you.
yeah, and you're having kids.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
it is
But
so
at
terrifying.
that point, like, you realize that she's a mother. Like, she wants to be a mother. She wants to take care of somebody.
Yeah. It's quoted here as the mother, by the way, not a creature or anything.
Okay.
It's the mother.
And so then, as Tess is falling off the water tower, she fucking flies off after her.
The way he dips too.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God.
And then, like, AJ looks over and he sees that the mother had, like,
Caught
somehow
her.
like, yeah, caught her.
Turned her around and then landed. Like Tess landed on her and the mother's
Yeah.
the one that took
So,
out
like,
the
she
blow.
softened her blow.
Yeah.
And so he finally goes down there. We're like, sorry, I didn't mean that. You like, I didn't even push you that hard. You just kind of like tripped and fell or like whatever. Like, you weren't supposed to go that far or whatever. And again, like, just like not
No
owning
blame
up.
at all.
No.
He's not like
It's
it
kinda your
went from
fault.
literally us watching him grab her by the hair,
Uh-huh.
fling her over the water
Yeah.
tower. So when he gets down there, he's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't even grab you that hard. Like
Yeah.
you really the one that like kind of flung off and like
Uh-huh.
swing yourself all the way over there. Like still blamed Tess.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro. So clearly he is to blame for this rape charge as well because I
Uh-huh.
don't remember, and we didn't discuss this, but when he barely got to Detroit and he goes to the bar with
Yeah.
his friend's like, look, man, like I believe you. He's like, I believe you now. He's
Yeah.
like, I just want to hear it from your mouth.
And she was like, "Oh, she did say no."
He's all like, well, look, like, I mean, it did take some convincing, but you know, like, she wanted to, and like, I just needed to get her there. And
Uh-huh.
I'm just like, okay, bro, so you fucking raped this girl.
Yeah.
Like, that's called harassment.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to fucking tell you.
Mhm.
And he lives and dies by that fucking method.
Yeah. And dies by that method.
Exactly. Like, that's why I said live
As
and
he's
dies by it.
yeah, because
I
as he's doing that, like the fucking creature gets up,
yeah,
grabs her fucking fingers,
yeah.
and like squishes, looks like baby
Grabs his
food,
head.
and squishes the fucking eyes out, and then rips the head
Oh yeah,
apart.
it looks like puss, bro.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's fucking
god.
disgusting. And then you see
Ah.
that like Tess is still on the ground, and the creature goes after her. Tess grabs the gun, and all she's saying is baby and like mama and like all this other like motherly shit. And then Tess shoots her, and that's the end of the
But the
movie.
thing is that I think the creature like told her to shoot her, right?
Well, I don't know, cause maybe yeah,
Because she kind of
cause
allowed it. It was
she almost says
weird.
goodbye. She like or like
Yeah,
something like that.
like the creature kind of allowed it.
Yeah,
It was like, okay, like I'm done with this. Like I
yeah,
protected my child now, child. Oh, that's why because uh Tess was wounded
uh huh,
and she couldn't move, so she was like, I'll take you, like I'll take
yeah,
you back.
yeah,
And then every time she would pick up Tess, like Tess was like screaming in like
uh
agony
huh,
because she had just been shot. And then so Tess like, I can't go back. Like
hmm,
basically saying, I'm gonna die back there if I go
yeah,
back. Like you can't. And so then I think at that moment, like the mother being the motherly figure that she is, like she's like, okay, you have to go, but I have to die
oh,
because like I can't live without you. Basically, I think
yeah.
it's kind of what
It's so sad.
it's so sad.
Yeah,
And then Tess shoots her, credits roll, and then somehow it cuts back to Tess walking away, credits roll again,
uh huh,
and then it cuts back to Tess, I think just continue to walk or some shit like that. And then the credits roll, and then that was it.
yeah.
It
That
was
was the entire movie, y'all.
that was the entire.
We just basically went through the entire movie. So, what did you think?
I mean, there's not much to discuss about this movie. Like, there's
That's what I
no.
think. That's why we ran over it.
That's the thing, though. Like, that's what I was saying. I'm like, it's to turn off your brain. I'll just watch whatever's in front of me,
Yeah,
kind of thing. It's not a.
there's nothing to
It's not a
discuss.
bad movie.
No.
It's not a bad movie. And if you like those movies, hey, all power to you. It's
Yeah.
probably one of the best. Yeah, maybe like a slasher film. It's kind of one. It's very well made. It's maybe
Uh-huh.
you could say one of the best ones out there. Not my cup of tea.
No.
I am not this type of slasher horror
No.
kind of
I knew it
guy.
was gonna be your favorite
This is
movie.
not my thing. Wasn't a bad movie. Wasn't a good movie, I'd say, but it was well done in a lot of
Yeah.
aspects of it. Um, it was just, I just, like I said, like I started watching it and then I had to go do something and I just didn't want to come back to it. Like I knew
You
I
didn't
had
want
to.
to?
No, I didn't. No, because at this point
Okay.
I had already seen the creature and stuff. And I
Yeah.
was like, I don't even want to know what
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
rest of this movie is.
Were you prepared for that incest thing?
No, I was not prepared for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
No, I
And
had.
that's why it's fucking weird to me.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
it's so crazy about it. Like that's a human being.
Okay.
Like it's not like a random creature that came out of
Yeah.
fucking nowhere. Like it's a human
Yeah.
being.
Let's go through the ratings.
Yeah, just okay. So here,
What do you think? Story
story.
5.
It's possible to give a 6. No, story was creative. It was interesting. I didn't appreciate like the middle of it.
Mhm.
I didn't like that it became like a whole new movie in the middle
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
movie. I didn't like that.
Okay.
I thought they could have done something better. And although
I thought it had like a very strong start.
I think so too, and well, maybe not very strong, but I
I
did
thought it
think
had a very strong start.
it was pretty good start.
Like it was a
Um,
good start to a horror movie because like you don't really see it that often.
yeah. The
You
thing
know,
is for
like the
me,
premise itself is like okay.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying, especially because it made it linger so
Mm-hmm.
long. But the thing is for me, it's just like even though the AJ story was great character building for him, I just don't think it had anything to do with the
Me neither.
movie.
I think that's why it
Like
fell apart.
that's what I'm saying. It's just like, look, like I'm not saying like
It made the movie more fun though,
It made it more fun,
which I think was like
the
the
intent of
whole
it.
yeah,
I get what you're saying, but I just don't think it was like it felt to me like when the writer was writing this was like, how can I add more stuff to make this movie like full 2 hour movie?
yeah.
Or at
I agree.
least, right? And so it's just like, look, I'm not saying those things, I'm not gonna discredit those things because those things really happen. And like I think it's good to show them,
Mhm.
but I just don't think it served the story. I think it served the character and
Mhm.
maybe like the
The movie
audience.
itself, but
But the
not the
movie itself, it did not serve.
yeah.
Like it had
Yeah, no.
nothing to do with it. Like you
No,
could
I
have
would say
just.
like I think it served the movie itself because it made it more entertaining, but it
Oh,
didn't
I see what you're
serve the
saying.
story as well to add him in it. And yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And it's
I
not
would
but it's
probably
not
give it like a
him, right?
2,
Like
to be
you could
honest.
add him, that's cool, but like I just don't think his whole backstory cuz like they flushed out his whole backstory.
Yeah, it
Like
did.
especially that like moment in his time.
Uh-huh.
It's like cuz he goes with his friend and he talks about it with his friend and then he goes back
Goes to this
home and he talks
finance
about.
person. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's a
like
lot.
he flushes out. He talks about it with the finance person. Talks about it with his mom. Talks about it with his friend. Goes
Uh-huh.
calls Megan. Talks about it
Yeah,
with her, even though she doesn't answer, right?
yeah,
But in my head, I'm just like, what the fuck?
yeah.
And
It's a lot. Yeah.
it was like, that could have been a whole separate thing on its own.
Hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it didn't have to be part of this movie. You
Yeah.
could have just. It was weird. It was weird. So I don't know for story. I kind of want to say two because like there was a lot of unexpected things.
Yeah. That's what I was
Um,
gonna give it. I was gonna give it a 2.
Yeah, I could go with a two. I
All
kind
right.
of want to give it a one, but because of they had like moments of like, oh, I didn't expect that or that,
Uh-huh.
I'll give it a two. Beautifulness.
I think there were some shots that I really like. There were some shots that were like maybe like 4 or 5 shots that I thought like, oh, that's cool. Like the intro shot I thought was great. Like the music building up, building up, building up,
Yeah,
building up, and then all of a sudden like go through the window and everything's quiet and she's just like looking at the
yeah.
instructions.
That car scene was pretty cool. I didn't appreciate it as much as you did, I think.
Yeah, you didn't.
But
No. But
I don't know. I think for me at least, the beautifulness is that's a one, bro. Like
it's a 1.
it's a one for me. Yeah,
I was gonna still give it like a 2 at least
a two.
because
Yeah,
it had a little bit of like those cool scenes to me
yeah,
that I really liked, and like there was a shot. Actually, I'm gonna bump it up to a 3 because there was shots that were just like so good, like well framed, and like just show the stark differences. Like the kitchen thing that I was telling you about, like 2/3 of the thing, Justin Long was facing this way, right?
mm-hmm.
And then it was him in 1/3, and then the other third was also filled by the kitchen. It was
Yeah,
bright yellow, and then the last third was filled by like darkness and
yeah.
that door in the background. And then Justin Long did this in his chair and like looked at the door,
Oh,
and
I know
like
what
the
you're talking
whole
about. Yeah,
frame shifted. And I was like, that was really well done. That was really well done, and that was like show the stark differences between the two areas of the house. You know, it's made to be like this great, like not great, but like this like cheery looking place
yeah.
in the midst of all this darkness and chaos. You know, and I thought that was really fucking well
I
done.
see what you're
And so the
saying.
beauty to me was probably a 3. I think it had a lot
That's
more.
really wow. That's kind of high. I for me it's a I don't know. I can't really justify giving it like even really a two.
Okay, so let's give it a 2 and meet in the middle.
Meet in the middle. Yeah, I mean I
All right.
guess.
What's next?
Oh
Oh,
sorry. Before that, I was gonna say like I know I said it's two for the story, but you know what was also weird? Like the fact that like because the at one point we didn't even know that the creature would come out.
uh
You know what
huh.
I mean? Then but the creature did come out.
What?
You know, like the creature does come out
Uh
of
huh.
the at night.
Yeah.
Why didn't she just drag both of them in there that night? You know what I mean?
Because I don't think she wanted to hurt them. Like I
No,
think she
no.
was maybe scoping it out, but maybe not hurt them yet. You know what I mean?
I know, but like it's just weird. Like why did she come out? She clearly goes out to find people, right?
Maybe she's timid.
I mean, she clearly is timid. She lives in a fucking hole.
Yeah.
But like it was just weird because it's like, okay, like well the creature goes out to find people. That's why she goes out.
To find people?
Well, what else she go out for? Just to fucking look around?
I don't know. I don't think that part of the story was explained too well.
Well, that's the thing. That's about back to the story. It's just like I don't know why she would go out. And then also like if she does go out, like and then they went down there and then she kept them for you know what I mean? It's just
Mm-hmm.
weird. It's just like I didn't understand why like you knew there was something there, but at the if she didn't go out, I would understand more because you
Mm-hmm.
know how that door closes,
Mm-hmm.
but the door will close a lot.
Yeah.
So you don't see any a creature closing it or anything at
No.
that in the beginning. You just see the door close. So you could still say like, oh well, it
No,
closed.
I would think that she gets out not by the house, but like by the tunnel somehow.
Yeah, I thought about that too, but I was expecting this tunnel to have an ending,
Me too.
and it never
Yeah,
did.
it
It
never
just
did.
kept going.
Yeah.
I'm like, where the fuck did she
It was
exit
kind
from?
of pointless to be in a tunnel, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying, man. Try to give this movie a one on the story.
1.5,
One
1.5.
point five. Okay, okay,
Okay, so let's give it a 2 for beauty. What's
okay.
next?
Let's go.
Soundtrack. It was just a normal soundtrack. I don't think it was nothing too
I don't really, I
extraordinary.
don't really remember the soundtrack. I mean, it must have had something to do with the jump scares and stuff, but I don't know. Two, one. I don't really remember it.
I remember there were some moments that I also liked, like the whole beginning thing of the music building up and then just doing that. But that's just an intro. I don't think it's too strong.
That's what I'm saying.
And there
Like,
was
I
like
just,
shrieking. There was like some things with like the measuring tape. Like
I just don't remember it. I don't remember
when
it
did
at
you
all.
watch this?
I just watched this yesterday, man,
Mm,
and like, it just, I don't really remember the soundtrack. I don't know. I don't really remember soundtracks, which is weird.
yeah,
Obviously, like
yeah. This
the
was just
past
like a
movie.
regular old soundtrack. There was nothing too special about it, to be honest.
Yeah,
I'll give it a one.
a one. I'll give it a one too. Okay. Oh, we missed rewatchability.
After you know what's happening, I don't think it has a
That's a
lot of
fucking.
rewatchability.
That's a zero,
I
man.
don't think I don't think it's a zero, but I like because I was down to watch it again just so that I can see like how their relationship. I think the relationship between her and Keith was really worth watching again, especially knowing
Yeah.
where it leads. And so like seeing like all his nuances, like trying to see where the director kind of like tries to lead you. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. I mean, for me, not a zero, but I mean, I still give it a one.
God damn,
Yeah. No. I mean,
I
no.
would give it a two for rewatchability.
This is okay. So this is that's the thing. Like, it's not. This is kind of the opposite of
The Killing of a
the
Sacred Deer.
Killing of the Sacred Deer, where it's just like
It's
it
just
wasn't a
not
bad movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but like it's just like there's certain
when
things
you
that
break it down.
when you break it down, it's just like I can't really give it past certain.
Yeah.
And the reason I say like the rewatchability, like for me, I mean, again, it's very biased for
Uh
me.
huh.
Not a fan of these movies. I'll give it a one just because it is rewatchable. Like I'm taking in consideration people that would like jump scare movies and stuff like that. And like, yeah, I think like if I rewatched it, like I think in all the parts that I felt scared in, I think I'd still feel scared.
Yeah.
Um, but there is kind of like that. There's a very big thing where like it scares you to about the unknown.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, oh my god, like where is this creature from? What is this
Yeah, I
creature?
get
Like,
it.
what's going on? And you lose all that when you watch it the first time because you know what the creature is now. You know
Yeah.
that the scary like you even know like where she comes from because she's a product of just like
Hmm.
consistent inbreeding, I guess, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that's why I just give it a one. Like it's rewatchable in the
Yeah.
sense of just like jump scares are all gonna be there, but that whole like oh like the unknownness of
Uh
it,
huh.
it's all gone because when you watch it the first
Yeah.
time. So I mean, I'll give it a one. I don't know what you're gonna give it though.
I was gonna give it a two.
A two,
It's a 1.5.
1.5. All right, balance.
What are you gonna give it?
I thought it was pretty well
Okay,
balanced.
that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, I mean, I'll
Like,
give it a three for balance.
and I was gonna say because like the acting, I thought was pretty good. I thought the actors
Acting
did
was pretty good. Yeah,
did good. I think the directing for what the story was pretty good. Like I think like it led you on to believe certain things
yeah,
and all that kind of stuff. And so I think it was a pretty well balanced film.
yeah.
I
I
would
give
give
it
it
a
like I would
three.
give it like a three.
I'll give it a three. Yeah, it wasn't like crazy. It wasn't a bad
Hmm.
movie. It wasn't the best or
Yeah.
obvious. This is definitely like this is gonna be the oddball out of our movies because this is not the typical movie that we talk about or
No,
discuss.
it's
This
not.
is
Yeah,
not like
yeah. I just
um
wanted to gross you out, one, and then two, I just wanted something like a little fun. You know what I
yeah. This
mean?
is
Something
kind of
that
a
wasn't like
yeah
too like
yeah
serious. And so that's what this movie was.
yeah. This is clearly not a
And
very.
there's just nothing about it really. It's just a
It's a
regular ass
zero. Yeah,
movie.
there's nothing really about
Is
this
that our
movie.
first zero? Nothing about it?
Yeah, I think it is because well, I mean, we've given low scores. There's not the only movie that's been past like a five is Cha Cha Real Smooth.
Mm,
But like every other thing, I think is like a four,
okay.
maybe a five on one. But I think I gave the well a four. I'm not sure.
Okay. So
Um,
So we can do a no score for Jason de la
No
Mano.
score. Yeah, I mean, this is not. There's nothing about. This is like a very typical kind of
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
low budget film. That's just kind of
Yeah,
yeah. Somebody wrote something and wanted to do it,
yeah.
but yeah,
Well, that was that. What's
that
our
was
next
that.
movie?
Call Me by Your Name.
Call
And
Me
I'm
by Your Name,
excited
and
because
I'll
we've
call
been
you
doing
mine.
horror movies kind of and like things that are kind of.
I'm gonna do something that you're not gonna like.
What are you gonna
I
do?
don't really like Call Me by Your Name all that much.
I didn't think you did.
I didn't.
It's not a shocking thing because I didn't think you did like it that
I
much.
didn't like it that much.
I love that film, but I didn't think you did just because like one, you don't really talk about it in the same way I do, and you never bring it up.
No.
Yeah, I love that film.
But that'll be next week. That'll be a conversation for next week.
Yeah, that'll be
So
a conversation for next week.
that was it. Concession tapes.